brave. Also known as Daya. Daya is an actor who just spent most of the last 6 years living in India. She's a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother. She lived in Austin many years, but left in 1989 and has been wandering ever since. And perhaps she has come home to Austin to stay. Perhaps. Dot, dot, dot.
I don't want to hit the back one.
No. Take care, darling. And you know, because we want subtlety, to use the mask.
You want subtlety? No, if you need it. After Tim, and I don't know your name, I don't know what I'm doing up here. I feel like my little story is kind of like in the dog poop. Go closer, honey. Okay. In January of 2006, I had one of those what's it all about, Alfred anyway, crises. I was living in Santa Fe. I'd been there for 2 years because my job in Taos had been sent to India. And I had gone to Santa Fe because I knew I could get work in a law office there. And so for 2 years, this guppy had been swimming in the shark pond. I was getting some film work after a long hiatus. For those 2 years in Santa Fe, I was working again, but it was really mediocre. Not roles that you ever get your theatrical rocks off with. And it was a really, really nasty shark pond. And then I fell in January of 2006 and completely tore through my rotator cuff. Blessings come in strange packages. I'm at the doctor and he said, okay, you're looking at a year. 3 months, you're going to be like this. Can't move that arm at all. And then we're going to spend the first 6 months with this little Nazi physical therapist moving your arm around in a way that hurts worse, I can promise you, than having a baby, and I have 3. And then you're going to spend the last 6 months at home exercising all day, every day, if you want to have your strength back. And I said, okay. And then I got home and thought, what am I doing with my little life? I'm working in this god-awful situation so that I can have 8 lines in a movie. Not even 8 lines, how about 8 words in a movie? And I decided, I'm going to take my Social Security. I had turned 62 in October before, and I decided, I'm just going to take it. My first idea was, I'll join the Peace Corps, I'll play out my time in the Peace Corps, and then I'll go to India. So when I spoke to the Peace Corps, they said, well, we're going to want you to teach English. So I spent 6 months, those 6 months when I was doing it myself, I spent 6 months teaching Burmese and Iranian refugees and Mexican undocumented workers. And then the Peace Corps said, no thank you, we don't want your old beat up body. And I thought, well, India was always on the back burner with what I can do, what I would do after the Peace Corps, so I'll just do it now. I'd been to India in 1994, that's 13 years before, and I had made up a lot about what it was like since I'd been there. You know, I had forgotten everything of substance. I have for many years been a practitioner of something called Advaita Vedanta, and in my particular spiritual path, the Mecca, the Vatican of Advaita Vedanta is in a town called Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu in South India. So I thought, I'll go to Tirvanumlai, I'll rent a house, I'll write the Great American something or another, and I'll wake up. I'll become an enlightened person. So I got to Tirvanumlai in January, and almost immediately met a beautiful young Advaita master who's sitting with him was so profound. I liked him so much, and I thought, yes! And I even have got a living teacher now. Well, he lived in London and came every winter, December, January, and February to Tiru, as many people do. Many people from all over the world come there who are interested in this particular spiritual path. But in February, he went home. And then all the Westerners disappeared. I thought they all went home too. And all that was left is I would come out of my house, and I had a high wall, and the Tamils, Tamil Nadu, the Tamils, Ma, Rupi Ma, oh Ma, sick, baby sick, Ma, Rupi Ma. And they didn't ever stop every time I came out the door. And the heat was getting higher and higher. Now, one thing that makes Tirunelveli such a special place is there's a hill there called Arunachala. And the Indians believe that Arunachala is Shiva. Well, if you know anything about Hinduism, Shiva is the god of destruction. He is a fopper. It's none of this, ooh, you know, none of this huggy kissy. I mean, you know, oh, you still attached? So the temperature was going up. I was alone in a strange country. The Tamils were saying, Rupi Ma, Rupi Ma, Rupi Ma. And then, around the 1st of March, the thing happened. I didn't have any furniture. So I was sleeping on I had kind of a little like a single bed sheet. Like a single bed sheet in the little pillow, you know, from the airplane. And I put that down on the marble floor, and I had a mosquito net, and I had wooden shutters on my windows, and I would close those every night so I could bop around in my room without my clothes on, because the Indians would all just look right in the windows. And there was a fan overhead. And every night I would lie down on the floor. Well, in India, it's not uncommon at all for the electricity to go off. But it's not all that common for the electricity to go off in the nighttime. So, on this particular night, it was really hot. It was really steamy. So I opened up those wooden shutters, and I lay back down. You know, you got to tuck that mosquito net in, because you don't want to get bitten by a mosquito in India. And then my neighbors next door decided that they would burn some trash. Now, in India, there's a rule about burning trash. If it'll melt, you can burn it. So these people had tires and plastic and clothes and maybe some dead animals. This huge bonfire, but suddenly the smoke is pouring into my open window. So I get up and I shut the door. I shut the window. I mean, I can't even tell you how hot it was. This happened for 4 nights. The fan would go off. I'd open this window, and there would be burning rubber and dead stray animals. So I decided I didn't want to go. I wanted to sit with this Advaita master again. What he was saying was really making a difference. But I just couldn't stay there, and I surely couldn't go home. I mean, I have a teeny doo-doo Social Security, and there is no way that I could fly back and forth to India. And I didn't want to go home anyway. So I started 1st of May, I was in Vrindavan, which is in Uttar Pradesh. I was at the ashram of my Satguru, Neem Karoli Baba. If you're old like me, you might know Ram Das is the most famous of Neem Karoli Baba's devotees. Now, if you think Tirupati was hot, Vrindavan was over the top. I think I was a meteorologist in a past life. I really like to know the temperature, and I really like to know the humidity. And my dear sister, for my Christmas gift before I left the country, had given me this little indoor-outdoor thermometer that ran on batteries. On the day that this unexpected incident, one of the unexpected incidents, aren't most of the incidents unexpected actually? Seems that way. That day, it was 104 degrees Fahrenheit in my room. It was 108 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and the marble floor was hot. It made Tiruvannamalai seem like it was cool. I mean, whoa, so hot. So to entertain myself, I'm turning through the Lonely Planet tour book. What am I going to do? I am so hot. Kind of like I am now. I am so hot. And I don't want to go home. And I don't know where to go. And then I came across this town, Dharamshala. And it said, oh, it gets in like the mid-80s for a brief time in the summertime. You need an umbrella. I didn't quite get the subtext of that. And it said, the Tibetans need volunteers. And I thought, aha, they want to learn English. You see, the Tibetans, whenever the Dalai Lama escaped in 1959, and he came into India, he went to Nehru, and Nehru said, okay, we've got a few swamps down in Karnataka, an upper Dharamshala, McLeodganj. We've got this old British hill station that is abandoned because there was a terrible earthquake there in 1901, killed about 215 Brits, and they left. And so there are a couple of chai stands there, and Dalai Lama said, we'll take that. You know, and now there are, in those swamps in Karnataka, there are also settlements. But he chose McLeodganj, Upper Dharamshala, to be the home, his residence, and the Tibetan government in exile. And of course, for the Tibetans, many, many, many of them want to be there with him because they get to see him all the time, you know. Well, I thought, that sounds pretty interesting. And I'm going to tell you, I did not know anything about Tibet. I'm a real typical American. I had seen Kundun. I had seen 7 years in Tibet. And in 1989, some of you folks that are old enough maybe saw something. There was some footage that showed on American television. In the late 80s, Deng Xiaoping took over for the communist Chinese, and they hugely relaxed what was going on in Tibet, so tourists were coming in. And on this occasion, there was a Czechoslovakian tourist who was on the roof of the Jokhon Temple in Lhasa. They're the two biggest temples in Lhasa. I bet these people have known there, they've been there. One of the two most famous temples in Lhasa is the Jokhon. And this Czechoslovakian tourist was there with his camera when suddenly the Chinese soldiers began to beat the Tibetan monks with their rifle butts. Did you see that? It was on American television. Well, this is all I knew about Tibet. I mean, even, you remember the movie The Horseman with Omar Sharif? I couldn't tell you if that was shot in Afghanistan or Nepal or Tibet, or if maybe they were all subsidiaries of the same country. I just really didn't know. So it was 85 degrees there in the summer. So I got on the sleeper bus in starts to climb. By the next morning, early morning when I awakened, we were up in these kind of hills, and the deodar pines were there. And in India, the little gutters are called nalis, and up there, the nalis are concrete, and they were rushing this really cold, beautiful water, and there were tea gardens, and off in the distance, I could see the snow-covered broader Himalayas, and it was like, whoa, am I in India anymore? So when I arrived in Macleod, the first thing that struck me so was the behavior of the Tibetans. You know, I've been in India long enough then that I was accustomed to how the Indians treated me. There are about 1 billion of them, and they're all sort of anonymous to one another and indifferent to one another. But they found me very interesting, an older Western woman traveling alone, so they would do this. Well, uncomfortable, isn't it? And I had gotten used to that, sort of. But whenever I came among the Tibetans, as soon as I would approach one, they would just bloom these smiles right out of their hearts, and it was, oh, Tashdele, oh, Tashdele, Tashdele. I couldn't believe the way they were behaving. So I went to the volunteer coordinator's office, and I said, well, I have taught English as a second language. You need anybody? And she said, this is most auspicious. I said, oh, yeah? She said, yeah, you come back in 2 hours. I said, okay. So when I came back, she said to me, okay, here's the deal. At the National Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, which is right there, all of the precious documents the Tibetans got out of Tibet with are stored there. You know, one copy of somebody's commentaries that are on, sheepskin or parchment or human skin. Oh, very, very precious. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is quite concerned that they all be translated into English. So they have begun something called a translation workshop that happens every summer there. And she said it has just begun last week, and the woman who was going to teach the English section has told us that she can't give us a 3-month commitment. Can you give us a 3-month commitment? I said, well, I have a 10-year visa. And so she said, you're on. And by the next day, I was standing in front of this classroom of 17 young Tibetans, 3 monks, 3 women, and the rest lay people, and they're all beaming their smiles back at me. I was like, oh, what a way to wait out my spiritual master. During this time, as I was wandering around, all the Tibetans would talk to me, you know? They wanted to know who I was. They wanted to practice their English. And all of a sudden one day it hit me like cold water thrown in my face that all of those Tibetans there had either been born in exile or they had made that trek across the Himalayas. And I got them to tell me their stories. You know, 25 days is quite ordinary for it to take. And they have to do it at night because the Chinese soldiers, you know, they walk at night and they hide under the rocks in the day. They go in the winter because the Chinese soldiers are less likely to be out. They get frostbite. They get, they use their toes. They use their fingers. It's, an incredible, difficult thing. And they would tell me about their valor, their courage, their fear. And they would go, what? Why are you laughing? They're so light-hearted about everything. I'm not accustomed to that. There was no, oh, poor me, it's so hard. And it is hard. They're going through something that's hard like nothing I ever experienced. teaching, I had a boy. Many of the parents in Tibet take their 5 or 6-year-old children, they pack them up, they give them to a guide, and they send them across the Himalayas because there they can be put in Tibetan children's village schools where they learn, they're able to speak Tibetan, they get to study their Buddhism, they learn Hindi, they get to see the Dalai Lama, whereas in Tibet they are treated like 2nd or 3rd class scum, and it's a very hard situation and a dangerous situation for them. And these mothers and fathers say goodbye to these little children and never see them again. So I said to Dorji one day, I said, Dorji, what is that like for you? That you haven't seen your mama in 20 years. Isn't that just horrible? He said, Daya, everybody has something like that. And I realized those Tibetan people, you know what they had done? They had stolen my heart. And they have still got it. You know, the Chinese occupied Tibet in 1950.